Positive territory for the second straight morning here, looking somewhat similar to Friday morning at this point. Anyways, trying to hold a bit of a gain here for the S&P. Sentiment overall getting a little bit of a boost this morning from positive comments from the White House on Chinese tariffs and some of the moves that the previous administration put on Chinese companies possibly being lifted. So we'll talk about some of the Chinese ADR showing strength here early on this morning, coming off a big bounce on Friday afternoon led by tech stocks primarily. The S&P did bounce off of bear market territory to close pretty strong. In fact, heading into the weekend, the NASDAQ and the Dow following suit. Still, though, the S&P 19% off its all-time highs, the Dow 15.4%. The NASDAQ still faring the worst from the beginning of the year, 30% off all-time highs for the NASDAQ still. Little M&A activity or rumors of such this morning. BMW and Broadcom apparently in discussions on a big deal, possibly. BMW higher, Broadcom to the downside. XPEV out with earnings this morning as well. We'll talk about some of the Chinese EV makers coming up. Brand new week. It's Monday, May 23rd, 2022. TraderTv.Live starts now. Morning to kick things off, 0.87 for the S&P, a full percent for the Dow right now, about 0.5% for the NASDAQ. Good to see everything in positive territory. Even, Bitcoin and Ethereum at the bottom end, they're looking pretty good to kick off the new week. Very volatile, a couple of sessions to end last week, so we'll see if some of these gains can hold. Coming off a pretty strong Friday afternoon. Good morning, guys. Brand new week, as we said. Lots to look forward to this week. On a macro level, we'll get the Fed minutes coming up on Wednesday. That's kind of the next benchmark when it comes to this whole inflation discussion. So we'll see if anything changed. Otherwise, we're on hydro cut watch here around Toronto, Sean. It's been a few days. How are things?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like, if I didn't even say anything to you guys like 20 minutes ago, no one would know anything pretty much. But I know it was a pretty bad, actually it was a pretty bad storm. I heard Randy's getting clobbered over there as well up north. But we still don't have power at my place. So it's been about 48 hours. Well, as of 1 o'clock. And we were at the Markham Fairgrounds at Kids Fest, and then we got that. Did you guys get that warning on your phone? You guys didn't get it in Brampton, or you did?
I didn't get a warning.
Yeah, anyone in Toronto, we got like a major alert, and we're listening to the radio, and it was like major thunderstorms, hail, tornadoes. And apparently, it all happened, and then my street still without power. But there's a lot, there's a lot more people worse off. So the fact that we had to have a cold shower and it was just fun.
It's good for you. Cold shower.
Yeah, it's fine. The problem is at night, though. It's like all of a sudden it just gets. So we had campfire last night out back. We had some s'mores. So we were throwing it down when you get the kids to bed and you're using your flashlight on your phone.
Hold on a second. At what point, like you're describing good things, like. Yep. So you had s'mores, you did the campfire, like the kids love that, first of all. Two, like s'mores, you just had to do that any time. So not a bad way to do it.
No, not a bad way. But see that today I have the Tim Hortons instead of the coffee you don't have from home. So you don't have to hear, you don't have to smell the hazelnut. But anyways, and apparently the hydro company was rolling down our street for the first time. We didn't see them at all. And then the guy might as well have just played like Rocky music or something. Apparently my whole street was like very excited. Right now, and even my dog is going nuts. So it should be a lot of fun. But there's trading to happen, and I just wish everybody, was safe on the storm. And apparently, it's bad. Yeah. Randy is saying that they don't have power, and they're saying it's going to be weeks.
It's some places that are really bad. Like it's weird. Like my street, it was 90 minutes. We lost the power, and then on the other side of our street, literally my neighbors across the street,
same as us.
I don't know if they got theirs back yet. So like I think they're like you guys, and the trees are everywhere. Thank goodness the one that's like. The worst looking branch from the old tree that we got to take down somehow didn't. It's the only thing that didn't fall.
You got to make sure that the trees aren't dead, because if they're dead, they get like blown out real quick.
That birch is old, man. It's got to go.
And then we had, we had some tryouts for my daughter. So everything was going pretty good. Everything's pretty happy. But Brendan, how about yourself? The condo's all right?
I was staying to Neil this morning. Besides a couple of flower pots on our balcony getting knocked over, I mean, it was. I didn't even realize how bad it was initially. I got that same warning, but it was 5 minutes. I mean, it got really dark. There was crazy winds, and then 10 minutes later, there was blue sky, but I did not lose power, so I know how frustrating that can be. So hopefully today, Sean, we'll get back to normal. Let's get into a few things to know heading into the open this morning. Under an hour to go here. I wanted to show you a chart of the 10-year to kick things off this morning because we are kind of consolidating around key areas from a couple of weeks ago. This is a daily chart of the 10-year back to 2.8 after we got up to 3.2 last week. As I said, Fed minutes to come Wednesday this week. That's going to be the next major checkpoint. Davos over in Switzerland also underway this week. So typically some individual comments come out of that. It's been a couple of years, worth noting, because of COVID. So typically, comments can move the market coming out of that. So we'll keep an eye on that. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon saying a few things right now about the state of JP Morgan in particular, but nothing major. Stock's not moving at all. I wanted to mention cryptocurrencies, though, guys. Big bounce off of what we saw happen last week for Bitcoin and Ethereum. We're back to 30 and a half, trying to get back up to 31 for Bitcoin, but some of the individual stocks not really following suit here.
Not really. I can't take my eyes right now this morning off of two things. One, monkeypox and. And you know what? I apologize in advance if I laugh occasionally because monkeypox just sounds funny. But that GovX, Sega moving pretty heavily, and Nvidia really, really weak this morning, down 2.5% and continues to fall. But part of the story too has been, what happened over what didn't happen, which is closing in bear market territory for the SPY. So we continue to bounce off that. But what's weird about, you mentioned crypto there, and of course the one I've been usually looking at, Coinbase. It is just in after going pretty, not parabolic, but I guess the word is capitulating, I guess is what I should say, because that's what I say, the last couple of weeks, this has been just going sideways in a really, really small and tight range for the last little bit. And this sort of corresponds with this battle that's, 28,000, 29,000, you get barely above 30,000. And Coinbase has just been chilling out in the 60, 62, 72 range. And I kind of expected last week that we'd see a movement out of here and we'd get a big time trade one way or the other. And then we look at this week and it's exactly the same things that we're going to be watching. It's the 60 to 62. Does that get broken down? If 28 goes, further pressure. If the market takes another crack to the downside, yeah, you're looking at things like that breaking. But the other side is true. You got to wipe out capitulation bottom on Coinbase on a huge volume. The 2-day peak when it took the low and broke 50, that was monstrous volume at the bottom, and now you're consolidating. So you are set up for a potential breakout. Sometimes temp bottoms do look like that. It's just surprising to see such sideways action, and I know it's a 10 to 12, maybe even 15% range, but given the way that the stock had been moving the week before, not a heck of a lot. So I'm not going to be diddling in the middle here. It's a 60 to 62 at the bottom. It's a 70, 72 at the top. And you don't want to trade it at any other price. And oh, goodness, there goes GovX again. It's unavoidable. It's the monkeypox stocks to the moon. That's the closest thing I got that we have for that graphic. But this thing is just off to the races. By the way, 9 million share float on GOVX. So very, very small float. Be very, very careful trading it. It's cheap, which means it doesn't take much for it to halt. 10% is nothing on a stock like this.
Oh, no, yeah. Well, I'm already in Sega here as well, but since we're talking about Bitcoin, and some of the companies, look at Hut 8 here. This is a name that, we never really talk about it. We talk about the Coinbases of the world and, SI and, even some of the major banks as well now getting into crypto. He's a Block and PayPal, things like that, also involved. But, we looked at it. We had Frank Caberna on from the small exchange, and he had, I think it was SCCX or some sort of an ETF kind of futures based on the crypto market. And he was like, the crypto market's basically at all-time lows right now. And despite having Bitcoin up there, and a lot of it is because of some of these, layer 2, even layer 1 coins, protocols like a Solana, like a Cardano. We talked about Avalanche a little bit, but anyways, as it starts to come back in here, Hut 8, again, they're all about mining and high performance computing, and just Web 3.0. This is a good barometer for me as well to look at, and it's been getting absolutely crushed. And I don't know, I already have some money in crypto, not a lot, but like this is another one here. You talked about Coinbase maybe bottoming out. Look at HUD 8 down here, just bouncing off $2 a little bit, 250, and trying to get higher. So if there is a rally in the crypto market, I feel like, especially because a lot of these, like I was saying, off brand, like not Ethereum, not Bitcoin, some of these littler coins here, if you believe in them, HUD 8 is going to be a name for you as well. So I'm not trying to promote any of these names. To me, it doesn't really matter. I just think there's some opportunities to be had in the space right now. And listening to what Frank said and just looking at some of these charts, you do have reasons to get in and then reasons to get out. And 225 there is the bottom of HUD 8. So if you wanted to put in a little bit of money into this one right now, thinking that the crypto market was about to bounce. And I just think crypto's moving with NASDAQ right now. So if the NASDAQ bounces, you're going to see crypto bounce as well. So this is a name that I look at right here, 225 at the bottom for HUD 8.
All right, speaking of Frank Caberno, let's bring him in, get a check of what's to happen, or prospectively what could happen coming up this week with some of these contracts and some of these ideas that we've been discussing over the past couple of weeks. Good to see you as always, Frank. Welcome back. It's going to be an interesting week here for major markets. We'll get to that in a second, but specifically some of these smaller type ideas, as we were just saying, with the HUD 8s of the world, the cryptocurrencies of the world. Give us your take here on where things are. We were talking a little bit on Friday as far as the correlation between tech stocks and some of the crypto markets. What are you looking for this week?
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about tech stocks and crypto, as they do trade very positively correlated these days. Essentially, crypto is trading like a risk-on asset, Brendan, and we will hopefully have some time to talk U.S. dollar, because U.S. dollar is getting smoked as we speak. We've got a British pound up 100 points, euro up 100 points. But I do want to start in the stock world and just take a look at this week's range. This is something that I like to do every once in a while. We're going to do it for NASDAQ. We're going to do it for one of the small technology equity products. And then I also want to do it for the crypto asset class here in a second. And what I do here, Brennan, is I calculate the realized volatility of these markets for the last couple of months. And then I take that volatility and I attribute it to the current today's price and say, all right, what are we working with for this week? And what we're working with for this week in NASDAQ is about 11,100 to 12,500 in terms of an expected range. Why do I bring this up? Why is this especially relevant right now? Well, because we've been closing below the expected range in NASDAQ for a few weeks in a row here. And with today's bounce, everything's looking good. Bitcoin is up 3.5%. NASDAQ is up. It was up a percentage point, actually giving up some ground right now as we speak. If this market can bounce back, Brendan, and beat its expected range and close this week above 12,500, then I'm feeling pretty decent about this stock market actually reversing and making a bounce back. If we hold in this range of 11,000 to 12,500, let's just say, then I think we might be bouncing around for a little bit longer. If we can't hold above 11,000 in the NASDAQ this week, then there might be more damage to be done. As we looked at those long-term charts at the end of last week, of course, tech stocks have a lot of ground to give up, given the last couple of years of outperformance. And so I just like to keep this on everybody's board here. If you are getting into futures and you're trading micro NASDAQ, keep in mind that this is, for this week, a little over 1,000-point range at $2 a point. So more than $2,000 in trading range for that product. And now if we compare that to the small technology here, a very similar futures product that has a lot of the same stocks, as you can see here, has traded in a similar direction. This is a range of about $46 up to $51, and that's $100 per buck there. So about a quarter of the size of that even micro NASDAQ. And I just put this on people's boards because it's telling for me, Brendan, in a long-term perspective. If we stick in this range, then we're probably going to bounce around for another week or so. We can do it again, of course, next week. But for me to really gain confidence in these risk-on markets, we need to bounce back substantially and actually hold that bounce back. We haven't really held any green activity in NASDAQ, technology, whatever market you want to speak to for more than 24 hours or so, though it's hopefully looking good this morning. But like I say, we're actually giving up some of that ground as we speak, my friend.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the correlation that continues to appear here. But as you said, I mean, even if we end the week somewhere in the middle, 11,100 up to, the top end of the range, still maybe a constructive type move going forward. I threw up the Bitcoin chart there so we can get, kind of an idea of where, to anticipate a move possibly in Bitcoin as well going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I did a similar calculation for this Bitcoin market, and it's even cleaner. This can be a nice, clean set of round numbers for everyone as we hover around 30K. For me, if we're going to make that journey back to 40, 45, and on to 50, and of course, a lot of the people making predictions of 100 from months ago looking quite difficult at these levels, we got to break outside of a short-term range first. And right now, that short-term range is 27 to 33. And this is similar to technology stocks, Brennan, in that there's a lot of ground to the downside if this market can't hold 30 or can't hold 27 in this case. The next shot lower could be the 20 to 25 range here in Bitcoin. I'm not a huge trend trader, but I bring up these ranges, Brennan, just because we've seen a lot of these bounces back get sold into in cryptocurrencies and stocks. And so with that being said, I might be looking to test out some shorts in Bitcoin around 32 or 33 to see if this market will just come back into this range. And then if it breaks it at 33, then this market has more upside and I'll probably cut my losses and move on. And we did speak to, thank you for the plug on the SCCX product, which is got Bitcoin and Ethereum and a bunch of the cryptocurrency stocks, but just a lot smaller of a product. You see a very similar chart to Bitcoin in here, but this is a product down to 12 and a half, 13 bucks. This week's range is just $300 or $400. If you're trading crypto and looking into the futures, a great place to start. But Brendan, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the growing importance of FOMC minutes. This is craziness to me how important this stuff has gotten. I mean, do you remember the last time, obviously the last couple of months here, but prior to that we were dissecting FOMC minutes? People used to not even care when the FOMC was coming out, let alone the minutes, my friend.
Yeah, the environment obviously dramatically different. As we said, Wednesday, the big kind of benchmark as far as macro news events to come this week. I want to touch on rates here a little bit, Frank, but also, as you mentioned, to kick things off here, big move in the US dollar back to the downside this morning. Is there a possibility that what is said on Wednesday could reverse that?
So I'm glad that you bring that up because I haven't connected those two pieces in a while. For rates, I guess we can, kill that bird with one stone here to kick off. We have Wednesday's FOMC, and this is going to directly move rates. This is the minutes. This is a little further dissection of the last meeting. And if you remember, the last meeting did bring some upside in rates in the short term, and then actually a pretty decent reversal from the highs. For me, it is this conversation of we're right now sitting smack dab between 2.5% and 3% in the 10-year yield. I think that there's going to be a nice trade. I'll be probably taking either side of if this FOMC minutes brings 10 years down to 2.5%. I'm probably looking to buy that dip here. If they get up to 3% in these 10-year yields, that's been a great sale a couple of times in the last couple of months. But bring up that US dollar and we can throw to the platform to show that market up to the second, because dollars are getting smoked here to start the week. That's been a real break from rates, Brendan, in the last couple of months when 2-year yields and the Fed was starting to talk up that we're going to hike rates back in March and April. Short-term yields and US dollars were both ascending together. Now that we've gotten this mess of geopolitical risks of, stocks taking it on the chin and fear coming into that market with a rate hiking environment, it hasn't been so simple as rates higher, dollar higher, and vice versa. You're seeing actually rates bouncing back this morning and US dollars giving up a big chunk of the last couple of weeks momentum to the upside. For me, US dollar is really a fear trade. It's been very highly correlated to S&P 500 volatility, the VIX index here. And so you're seeing that stock bounce back leading to some downside in US dollars. I don't think I think we're far removed, Brendan, from US rates higher or US rates lower, and that directly dictating movement in US dollars as central banks across the globe are moving their rates around. I think that you're seeing basically fear up, US dollar up, fear down, US dollar down. And that's been a pretty good short for us the last couple of weeks, with US dollar really giving up a lot of ground the last week and this morning. We'll see where it goes the rest of the week, though.
Yeah, kudos to you on that. You've been banging the table on the short side for USDs for the past few weeks that you've been joining us. We appreciate it. As always, Frank Cabrera, Director of Product Content and Creative over at the Small Exchange in Chicago. We appreciate you once again on a Monday.
Thanks, Brendan.
Quick note, guys, on DD, just coming out here. Looks like they've come out with a date for delisting. So June 2nd will be the last day of trade for delist or for DD Global on the NYSE. So that just out for DD. I did note that it was actually higher with some of the other Chinese ADRs this morning.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we knew this was coming. It was just a matter of time before we actually got a date for DD. But the reaction was to the downside just now. It actually just broke 150, a decent amount of volume, however, not a ton. And now you can at least move forward understanding exactly what the timeline is going to be. There's still a few others that are, I guess, under pressure, although some of the news relatively positive. I did want to come back over to this CIBO, by the way, which is still CBIO. Check that. Sorry, CBIO, which is still moving pretty heavily. This is not a monkeypox stock. They're making a sale. I think it's like 60 billion or whatnot. There was a big level at 80, 85, and now 95 at the top, right? So been in and out a couple of times, pretty close to flat, and then looking to see if we can catch the top. Any penny stock that gets to $1, it's always a pretty psychological level and play off of it. It's worked well the last little bit here, so I am in a short off of this high. The first couple, one was pretty much flat, but the second one took a hit. Now trying to get it back off this dollar level on CBIO. So it's not just monkeypox names that are making some moves in the small cap space. And I did mention 10%, and I was rightfully corrected. That GovX is a $2 stock, so it would have to actually move 20% to hold.
Yeah, we're doing the same thing here. Well, we're hitting it right now. SIGA, there it is. Yeah, we got this move. Oh, we got the. You can see the VUV is right there in that view.
It's almost like you don't purpose.
Yeah. It's too early to worry about champagne right now. Okay, so there it is right there. We took out another piece. Obviously, I sat down here. I wanted to go long off 14. It came back into 14. So we got long initially at 30 there, out at 55, out there at 65. I posted during Frank's segment the whole time. Shout out to Bears vs. Bulls Media for posting that as well, that he caught my tweet. I've been tweeting about this for a little bit here. And there it is. So we're only out of 40%. I don't know where this thing goes. My next out is going to be around here, 1530, 1540, something like that. And then we'll see about taking out the highs there for SIGA. And then, 13's just sort of where we had some consolidation there. I don't, our charts actually turn off at 4:30 and then turn back on in the AM. I only look from 7 o'clock, but you did have a few levels here on SIGA. Someone was asking, I think it was Mike, asking, sort of where did I get that level from? And it's not really anything. It's just, into 13 was right here. 7 o'clock 7 o'clock this morning was all the way up here. But this is Friday's level of just sort of 13 where we sort of consolidated, bounced around a little bit. So I'm going to look at that one. There was still decent volume left on Friday afternoon. So we bounced around 13. So that's all. So you can use that sort of as a level. When stocks kind of go parabolic, kind of like this has been doing, obviously, over the last couple of days, $7 up to 17. There's really going to be no levels that are in here, but there's 13 right there. So we're going to use 13 as our out. I mean, right now we're in the money, 32 cents, and it's, you know, we're already out. We're going to average back in, and the worst case scenario, we're going to dump it off here at 13. So for me, it's going to be well worth the risk. We are looking for some 15s and 16s here on SIGA. That's where my next offer is. And then, yeah, Frank was talking about US dollar, crypto. I like that SCCX tool that he was talking about there as well. So, yeah, I think it's worth dipping some into crypto if you're not in already. But hey, I mean, to sit here and recommend getting into Bitcoin or any of those names is really just your own sort of tolerance of risk, right? And what you believe in this space. I can't fault anybody for loving crypto, and I can't also, on the other way around, fault anybody for not wanting to get into it right now, or ever. So there's some back and forth with that. But one thing that's for certain is every single day we get upgrades and downgrades, and they seem to matter in this market. So let's go over there and have a quick look. The one on the top right, to me, should never be downgraded, but we've gone over this before.
Lulu. Yeah, top, you're right. Over there. Lulu, HP, CRISPR, Nike to the downside today. Foot Locker on here had a decent move on Friday off earnings. Marathon and Cigna, guys, to the upside.
Right. Well, I mean, if you're any kind of a retailer, you've been hard pressed to get on that other side of the board. Although, hey man, Foot Locker caught an upgrade today, and sometimes you're beating up and up. But it's Nike, the other one, because I look at it the other way. Like Foot Locker, I think is in trouble because Nike's going a little more direct to customer, and I think that can be a little bit of a headwind for them. But Nike, this one bears watching. Like we've seen a lot of retailers break down and everything in the consumer space be weak with the R word getting thrown around there. And you look at this double bottom at 105 on Nike that got put in the last couple of weeks. That's the kind of floor that if it goes, and it's going to be pretty obvious on the chart. And Nike doesn't do a ton of volume for a traditional day trading stock, but this 105, it's a monster level. We ran away from it. We just retested it at the bottom last week. Are we going to bounce through it today? We'll see. But I got an alert set for 105 on Nike. Obviously, 100 is the psychological level right beneath it. But when you see something like this, I'm not saying the downgrade takes it lower. And in fact, sometimes that could be a turn. And it works both ways. You got support at 105, but if it goes, watch out below. And don't forget, we got big retail earnings coming this week. Costco's going to be real important.
Yeah, I think Lulu and Nike having basically the same PE is strange to me. I think Lulu should be a little bit higher than them. Just traditionally it has been. And I really like Lululemon here at these levels. It's down 25% in a week, in a month, I guess. 28% this month. Nicely to the downside here has already broken some levels. Some of the damage that's been done in retail, I just think that Lululemon shouldn't have really been dropped down there. There's such a boutique retailer that's not really going anywhere with such a unique product that, I feel like the branding with Lululemon, I really like this name. Again, I think you got to get above this 280 level here that, kind of has some key levels there. But, in this retail destruction, I really like 24 PE. Honestly, I just think it's a name that you can't ignore. I'm already in Nike as well. I don't actually own any Lululemon, but I really like Nike, that story as well. I mean, we first bought this in the, 145-ish, something like that. We were able to get some out, but not all. So now, obviously, Nike coming back in. I mean, we trimmed some of the positions, but where was Nike bouncing off of? Wasn't it? Yeah, it was 145. So it was a couple times off here. We bought early down there, was able to get it long, and then we had the 145 there again, upside, and then now, you're stuck at 145. Not a horrible spot to average into. But again, Nike just continues its kind of free fall. Lululemon has a little more, from what I can see anyways, a little more support, but still, 100, very, very key level. We're going to look at that. We saw what happened to AMD. It hit 100 and just, kept on going and stopped at 85, 80, I guess, before eventually getting its footing back to 100. So I can see the same thing in Nike here, touching 100, maybe breaking a little bit, then settling back in around 110, 115-ish. So, yeah, I mean, pick up any of these names on weakness for sure. But with Costco still coming through, man, I don't know. What is Mike saying here? Nike is going to smash the next 2 years. Florida is going... Nike is going to smash the next 2 years. Foot Locker is losing shoes from contracts. Nike also has e-commerce on lock. Yeah, look, here it is. I'll put that up there. Thank you, Mike, as well for the super chat. Mike knows a lot about shoes, obviously. Thanks for the, what did he send me? I can't remember what you sent me. The Dunks. Sorry, I have so many. The Dunks and then also the Jordans as well. So thanks, Mike, for that. But I also heard that Posh, I think it was, is it Poshmark? They're also getting sued by Nike as well. So yeah, StockX, Poshmark, these guys selling fake Nikes on there. So that's not going to work out for anybody. So yeah, I think I like Nike, no doubt about that. When is the Olympics are coming up soon? I guess every 2 years, right? So those are big spots.
Next year, not yeah.
But it's winter first. What did we just have? These years have just gone by so crazy. But obviously, Nike's a little bit of a better play for Summer Olympics.
Yeah.
I would assume. But
we just had the Olympics, didn't we?
Did we? Well, when?
It was
I guess
winter.
20.
We just had the Winter Olympics, right?
Yeah.
Winter or summer? I mean,
Winter.
nobody knows
Yeah.
anything. Okay, so that's my point then. So summer coming up. The next go around could be something for Nike as well. But hey, as you can see, we don't know much.